What is up, summoners, and welcome to the channel. Today I'm excited to introduce this new quick take series to the channel, which if you've been around for a while, you may kind of recognize this layout. I would say about 2 to 3 months ago, I put together a video you're seeing here on the screen now called a character comparison. I did it between X23 and Gwenpool, where I took several aspects of each character and kind of assigned a number based upon how good or bad they were in that particular, damage output or AQ, viability, all that stuff. And the idea was to kind of take the point total and add that to a leaderboard or kind of a big board where I kept track of all the characters that I'd done this. And the purpose was just for a little bit of fun, for something different, but to allow people to kind of just quickly glance at the leaderboard to see where characters ranked at, to determine if they were, people that they should be, or champs that they should be spending resources and time on, or if they were just characters that are more, geared towards the arena fodder, basically. And for one reason or another, that series just never got off the ground, but I do want to get back into it. I had a lot of fun doing that. That leaderboard is something, that big board is something I still want to put together, but I want to tweak this a little bit. Obviously, I'm not going to do this on multiple characters at a time. We'll just look at one character at a time. This will be kind of a mini closer look review. It just takes me so long to put together those closer look reviews that I have to be very picky and choosy on the characters that I do it on, which means that there are a lot of characters that get left out. I get asked all the time to do reviews on characters, and I just can't do it in a closer look review format. So hopefully I will be able to break down a lot more characters this way in a much more smaller, bite-sized, digestible video. And the idea is that if you're newer to the game, you don't have this like huge roster of characters that you've developed or that you can choose from. Sometimes you're stuck with maybe mid to lower tier characters, and hopefully this will be able to help you out, give you kind of a quick look at the overall abilities, where their strengths and weaknesses lie, their viability in different aspects of the game. And then, like I said, we'll have the leaderboard that we'll put together, which I'll explain more at the very end of this. So that is the idea between the quick take series. Going to do the first one here, obviously, on Karnak. Hopefully, I don't know if this will be once a week, but maybe once every 10 days or so, we'll put one of these together. Aiming for these to be like right under the 10-minute mark. So I guess I need to stop talking and get right into this one. Okay, so first up, before we get into the first category, which is overall damage, the point total that is awarded is 1 through 5, 1 being the lowest, the least effective, if you will, 5 being the most effective, which means 3 is an average. So under damage output, I've actually got Karnak right at a 3. I would say in the hands of a fairly skilled player, you could probably bump that up to like a 3.5. The reason I've got it at a 3, though, is if you look under his passive ability there, he gains a focus, which increases his critical rate dramatically. When his focus is active, you can expect probably 3 out of 5 hit combo at least to be all crits, which boosts his damage output greatly. However, every time you get hit, you do lose focus, and it takes 9 seconds to gain that buff again, which 9 seconds in this game is actually a very long time. Which means if you're having a poor fight, you're getting hit, you're losing that buff, you're having that buff down for a long time. You can instantly apply that buff with the S1. You instantly gain the focus buff. You also gain True Strike, which ignores armor, resistance, and passive evade effects, which is great. However, you're losing the damage output from the S1 itself. So, like I said, in the hands of a really strong player, I would say Karnak's overall damage output is probably more like a 3.5, but I think for purposes of this leaderboard, I'm going to have him right at a 3, very average damage output. The next thing up, and really I think I'm going to wrap these two together, is AQ and AW. Karnak doesn't really find a great spot in either one of these, unfortunately. He does have some, and I don't have, let me go to my Awakened Karnak here. I don't have Awakened as a 4-star, but I do have him as a 3-star. If you look at his Awakened ability here, which I'll talk about further in a second, but Karnak's Inhuman Metabolism allows him to shrug off non-damaging debuffs, which that goes higher and higher. It's at 44% is the level 40. 44% faster than normal. Also, he reduces damage from poison by 65%, which is nice. There is a little bit of utility built in there. But honestly, with his damage output being very average and him not being truly immune to anything, he's just not great for lane clearing. when it comes to poison paths, bleed paths, excuse me, stun immunity, starburst, all those things. He just doesn't have a great use for. The one spot where he did, I don't want to say he shined, but back when Alliance War was a little more difficult, where people were placing, a lot of Spider-Man, a lot of Nightcrawlers, with his True Strike, with his S1, and then also basically his S3, which got around that as well. It did help him work around a lot of the evade effects from those enemies. Also helped him work around Electro a little bit, but unfortunately with the iteration of Alliance War that we're currently in, he just doesn't find a good spot in either AW or AQ. So for that reason, I've got him just slightly below average. I'm going to put him at a 2.5 in both of those categories. Underneath signature ability, which we did just talk about, that's kind of how I feel about it. That's his signature ability wrapped up in a sound, It's nice to have. I wish that ability was wrapped up into his normal gameplay. For somebody that doesn't have any true immunities, has no healing factor, has no damage with his S1, I feel like his signature ability should somehow alter his focused ability. Maybe you have to get hit 2 or 3 times before you lose focus. I think that would have been a stronger signature ability. This iteration of it, while it is nice to have, doesn't necessarily boost him up or make him more effective than he already is. It's not like once he's awakened, okay, now he's great for AQ or AW. It's just kind of a nice thing to have, but isn't a necessity. So again, for signature ability, I've got him under average. I've got him at a 2.5 as well. Then finally, the last thing to look at is his overall utility, which I guess I touched on this a tiny bit. With his True Strike from his S1, where's he at here? Where in the world? There he is. With his True Strike ability, with his S1, plus ability accuracy reduction with the S3, yes, he does have some utility built into him, but it is just a little bit awkward to get to. If you're needing a character to get around passive evade effects, you've got many other choices that do that much, much better than Karnak does. Even in his own class, he's got Black Widow, you've got Elektra, you've got Crossbones, you've got Gwenpool, you even have Falcon. When Falcon is awakened, he can directly hold down block, go into that focus state. I can't even remember what it is off the top of my head, but reduce ability reduction right there. So I think when it comes to reducing ability reduction, I think Karnak in the skill class probably is either dead last or tied for last. So unfortunately, like I said, there isn't a lot of utility wrapped up there either. So I am gonna give him I'm gonna give him an average score of 3, because yes, he does have some utility. It's just not overwhelming or over the top, so I'm gonna leave him right at a 3. So if you are playing along at home and can do a little math, you'll see here that his grand total is a very underwhelming 13.5. He is pretty much average across the board. So if we switch over to the leaderboard here, you'll see that he does fall into the bottom tier. A character that doesn't have a lot of usefulness. Damage output potentially can be pretty good. However, it's just too easy to lose the focus and have his damage output not be good at all. No true immunities, no healing factor, no heal block, no power lock. Nothing outside of the S3 and a little bit of ability reduction that he's really useful for in any way. So I've got him down in the bottom tier. And obviously you can see here we've got mid tier and a top tier, which we've got X23 and Gwenpool sitting at currently. So we'll keep adding characters as we do these quick take videos on them. We'll keep adding them to the leaderboard here so you can see where they fall at. Hopefully this will give you, like I said, a quick resource to go to, glance at, try to figure out where these characters are at, if you should be using resources on them or not. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this is a series that you'll enjoy in the future. If you've got any suggestions on the next one of these I should do, which they don't all have to be necessarily like mid to bottom tier characters. We can do them on anybody. But like I said, I think this is an opportunity to give some love to characters that don't see a lot of screen time. So that's kind of the idea moving forward. As always, I appreciate so much the support. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter. You can join my Discord server as well. The link is down in the description. And yeah, that's it. Hope you guys have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll see you all in the next one. Peace.